Oh, hello. Welcome to another Tabletop Impulse video, and we're going to do one of my favourite things to do on my channel, which is to speculate wildly. I love these kinds of videos. So as you probably are aware, yesterday Games Workshop gave us the titles for the next three big Kill Team boxes that are coming this season. That's 2022. So 2023, SHADOWVAULTS, Soul Shackle, and GALLOWFALL. And so now I'm going to attempt to gaze into my crystal ball and predict the full year of Kill Team releases, all the terrain, all the teams, the whole thing, and more. Wait till the end of the video. Hopefully, I'll get at least one thing right. So first I'm going to start with some things that I believe, some suppositions if you will. I believe Beastmen are featuring in the next Kill Team box. So I've had to fit that into my reasoning because that was told to me by the same source that accurately predicted Kroot and Imperial Navy before anybody else was saying that was likely. Also believe from the same source that each box this season will feature one Kill Team that can be directly used in 40k, for example the Kroot, and one Kill Team that is artisanally, if you want to bring that word, resurrect that word, because we can't say bespoke because that means something else, okay, crafted for Kill Team, okay, such as the Navy Breaches, so something that doesn't have an analogue in 40k. Will the Breaches get a 40k data slate as a free download? Maybe, but that doesn't change the issue that they're designed for Kill Team first, right? And that's from the same sources that predicted the Kroot and the Navy. That's from the same source that's predicted the Beastmen are coming in the next box. I also believe that each set of terrain will be ship corridors tied to a different ship belonging to a different 40k faction. I infer this from the Warcom video article, The Space Hulk Gallowdark is the true star of Kill Team's next season, which I've covered in another video. I kind of think that one of the two teams in every box is going to be tied to the terrain in the box, just like the Imperial Navy are tied to the Imperial Naval Vessel terrain in the first box. I also think we're going to see no more upgrade sprues. Upgrade sprues are gone, and I'm inferring that from the legend on the bottom of the roadmap that says all new Kill Teams. If it's an upgrade sprue in an existing kit, it's not all new, is it? That's not what all new means. A couple of things that are more general speculation. Since no upgrade sprues are to be used, the 4 for 40k slots, right? We got 4 slots, right? One of which we know is Kroot. And one of which, if we're honest with ourselves, we know is Kazakin, yeah? We got 4 slots that are going to be 40k kits. So you want to put your brain in gear and think, what kits are there for 40k that they could either add to a codex, right, or that there's currently rules for that really need replacing. I also think that the fact that we did the Bloodied, who are really the bridging team, right? They're the first artisanal team, the team that doesn't actually relate to a unit in a codex. The Beastmen and the Bloodied, if the Beastmen thing pans out, and I believe it will, they seem to be borrowing from Blackstone Fortress and from some of the ideas they had when they were designing that game, and that's something I'm going to lean into as well with my predictions. Okay, so let's get on with the first prediction. SHADOWVAULTS. So a couple of different people have had different takes on this. When I hear the name SHADOWVAULTS, I think of the Shadow Wardens, you know, the order of the custodians that guard the secret black vaults underneath Terror itself, where the Emperor has kept all of his esoteric bits and pieces. I think of the black ships and the Inquisition and all that super secret side of the Imperium that's kept kind of secret and tight and shadowy. That's what I think of. So I'm immediately thinking of Talon's, Grey Knights, Death Watch and Inquisition. But if upgrade kits are off the table, this seems to be where we slot in, and I've done a whole video about this concept as well, the idea that we might be getting an Inquisition Kill Team for Kill Team, right? So Inquisitional, artisanal Inquisition Kill Team for Kill Team, possibly based on the old Witch Hunter Tyrus lore, as we've seen from the rumour engine to do with the Cast-Chan dueling glaive. If you haven't seen that video, go back on the channel, search for Inquisition. It'll pop right up for you to get the full rationale there. So that's what I think might be coming. And alongside the Beastmen, which I've already been kind of told about, right? And I reckon they're going to be modelled after the Blackstone Fortress Beastmen. So there's the 4 Blackstone Fortress Beastmen there from Blackstone Fortress. And they will be the for 40k unit. Now bear with me. So they would be the 440k unit for the upcoming World Eaters Codex. You know how every range, the Death Guard have got their Poxwalkers, and the Tzeentch have Zangors, and the you know, so these would be the Khorne equivalent kind of rabble unit potentially. And I think the setting will be an inquisitorial black ship, right? So it'll be kind of inquisitorial eyes all over the place, maybe like tanks with psychers in, going all, you know, like vaults and locked doors and super secret spooky imperial things, you know, literal vaults, right? Inquisitorial vaults where the archaeotech and the treasure is kind of being transported, and this inquisitorial black ship has smashed into this space hulk at some point, and it's swarming with beastmen, and the Inquisitors come in with his strike team, and they're trying to recover some world-ending MacGuffin, you know, the Emperor's left molar, or Saint Boniface's nasal hair, or whatever it might be. That's where I think that the plot of Shadow Vaults is going to be. Whereas the beastmen are just there to beastmen about, kill, loot things, maybe generally just be feral and beastman-y and slaughtery, because especially if they're going to be a Khorne, a kind of a World Eater allied faction, they don't really need a modus, they don't really need a kind of raison d'etre other than just killing stuff and being bestial. Now in red on each slide, I've put some of the nagging doubts, some of the contrapoints for my own predictions, because, you know, I think that's important when you're making an argument. You should address, if any opposing things come into your mind, you should address them. Are we really getting a World Eaters Codex so far out from a World Eaters unit so far out from the World Eaters Codex? I think it's possible that they do it as kind of a teaser. We don't know. We don't know. We'll probably find out later this week, next week, sorry, in the Nova Open preview for 40k, the order that we're getting Squats, Guard, and World Eaters. Because we know that those are the sort of the last 3 codexes of the edition, and we know they're going to come out probably this year, but we just don't quite know the order that they're going to come out in. I know a lot of people, me included, I'm assuming it's going to be Squats, then Guard, then World Eaters, because that's the order that we found out about them. But remember that the Guard and the World Eaters were leaked, and Games Workshop did do articles about both of them, but they did them on their own. They did them on their own terms. They didn't do them on their own terms. The hand was pushed. So I think it might be Squats very soon, and then Guard, then World Eaters, but maybe then World Eaters, then Guard. We don't really know. Also, the fact that the first box was Imperial Navy, and the second box might be Inquisitorial terrain. That's 2 Imperial terrain sets, one after the other, which I know will rub some people the wrong way. I mean, Games Workshop don't care. I mean, look at the Kill Team Season 1. Terrain-wise, we had Orcs, and then Imperium, and Imperium. So I don't think it's beyond the pale that there'd be 2 Imperial ships. They'd have different looks and different aesthetics. I imagine like an Inquisitorial ship will be a bit cleaner, have more skulls, fewer rivets, that kind of thing. Less functional, more sinister. But I think we might get 2 Imperial kits, which is maybe not the brightest thing for Games Workshop to do, but that's why I think Shadow Vaults, to me, that's my prediction for Shadow Vaults. Am I right, am I wrong? Let me know in the comments. Soul Shackle. Soul Shackle puts me in the mind of Dark Eldar, who mess around with souls, and Necrons, who shackled their souls to their machines, right? They use mind shackles. And I reckon it's going to be 2 thing mandrakes Mandrakes are going to be the 40k unit. Okay. It's a very old Finecast kit, and they need an update, and they make sense as a kind of solo element, right? After had a big long discussion with Zimbad towards the end of the live stream yesterday, and I've been reading up on the Mandrake background, and yeah, they don't really operate alongside anything else, so it would just be a group of them on their own. They'd make a good thing for Kill Team. And then versus them, and people who are on Discord are going to laugh that I'm admitting this is probable, Necrons, but I think the Necrons are going to come along with Spindle Drones. We know that Spindle Drones are a Necron unit because they actually said as much in the Pariah Nexus, of all things, if you remember that. The Pariah Nexus launch article on Warcom, which is where this picture's from that I found. And you can see there's some Spindle Drones there alongside some Necrons. So I think we're going to get those kinds of... I mean, they've kind of moved... If you look at Indomitus, there's a lot of Spindly Drone type things they added into the Necron range. So some sort of tomb ship sentinels. I mean, this is something that Zimbad's been saying for like 8 months. And it's one of those things where I really hate the idea of this box. But I think it's likely... I just hate it. I'll come on to that in a minute. But I do think it's likely. And it'll be, you know, Kanopeki things, like the spindly drone things, the wraiths, the scarabs, not the humanoid Necrons, right? Because we know those would be, if you were infiltrating a ship, if there was some mandrakes prowling the hull of a tomb ship, it would be the Kanopeki stuff that they would fight, right? Because that's what's awake and trying to patrol and protect the warriors who are all in there like sarcophaguses. Yeah? And I think the terrain will be tomb ship terrain, so that classic Necron look, like smooth, black, green glows. Think Pariah Nexus, but done right with proper 3D walls. I did say that this box really annoys me, because Necrons and Dark Eldar are both teams that I really want in Kill Team, but not like this. I really want Necron Warriors and Witches. I think that would be really cool. You know, but I don't think we're... I think this is what we're going to get, and so that's a bit of a... from me, right? You know, it's a thing of loving... A lot of people have said this about the Phobos team. A lot of people said this about the Novitiate team. It's the same thing they always do, right? Where you really want a team because you like the core idea of that army, and then they go and pick some kind of thing that doesn't really look like the core thing and go, that's our kill team. But I don't think that makes it unlikely. It makes me a little bit less pleased, but I don't think it makes it unlikely. The only negative I can see to this prediction is that Xenos versus Xenos big boxes are always a risk for Games Workshop. If you remember, they went through that phase for 40k of doing battle boxes, right, where you got two opposing forces in a box, and apparently the one that really didn't sell was Eldar versus other Eldar, right, when they launched the new Banshee kit and the new Incubi, right? People didn't buy that, apparently. You know, Imperial sells. Like, there's a reason that 3 out of the 4 boxes in the first season of Kill Team had an Imperial side in, and the one that didn't had Chaos Marines in it, right? Because Imperial's popular, and second to Imperium, Chaos is popular. Xenos factions, the people that love Xenos, like, the people that love Orcs and will buy a box with Orcs in, but it doesn't translate. Like, if I love Orcs, why am I going to buy Necron versus, you know, Dark Eldar box? Whereas if you love Sisters of Battle, but you might buy an Inquisition box or a Stormtrooper box or any of these things, because it's all Imperium and it all works together. And in the same way, if you really like, I don't know, Emperor's Children, but you might buy any kind of, oh, it's a chaosy, demony, rabbly thing, because it all kind of vaguely works together. The Xenos armies don't have that thing. We kind of lump them together as Xenos, but really they're very discrete things. Just because somebody might really love Orcs doesn't mean that they want some Dark Eldar, because they're totally different in a way that, like, Stormtroopers and Space Marines aren't totally different, right? Does that make sense? Make sense to me? So I think this box is what I predict, but I do think it might be an economic risk for Games Workshop. Final prediction. Well, no, that's a lie. There's stick along to the end. GALLOWFALL. So GALLOWFALL. Gallow is obviously the Gallow Dark, and fall puts me in mind of chaos, because things that are corrupted, they fall, you know, in the biblical sense, the sort of fallen from grace, fallen angel, that kind of motif. They talk about things falling to chaos, right? So the word fall puts me in mind of chaos. I've put the Kazakin in here as the thing that's fighting against the chaos, just because we know that the Kazakin are coming for Kill Team, and I hadn't used them anywhere else, and I'm like, oh, the Kazakin, well, the Kazakin go in here, sure, why not? Yeah, I've not much more to say on the Kazakin. And then against the Kazakin, the main stars of GALLOWFALL, I think, would be the Dark Mechanicum. I really like the idea of the Dark Mechanicum at the centre of this space outlet. They've come in, they've burrowed into the middle of the space outlet like a maggot in an apple to get to, and they're slowly, like maybe they've got some demon forges going on, they're building things, they're corrupting, they're doing their kind of perverse rituals to bring in more demons to infest. You know, the Dark Mechanicum thing of binding the demons into real space by like infesting them into the metal and the machinery. I think that would be really cool. I think they need to have a Chaos team in this season, right? There will be at least one Chaos team, because like I said, Chaos is popular, but they've done Chaos Marines and they've done Cultists, and then they've re-released the Gellerpox, which is a kind of a more demony one. So I wonder if we'll get Dark Mechanicum. And to carry on the thing of Blackstone Fortress, right? So Beastmen, Spindle Drones, and you have these Dark Mechanicum fellas in Blackstone Fortress as well. Maybe I'm leaning too hard on that. Right, I've said that down there in the red text. The terrain set for this will be Corrupted Corridors, that really classic kind of aesthetic of, you know, Horus's flagship in all the illustrations, where you've got a wall and then there'll be like a big mouth in the wall, or a pair of eyes, or, you know, demon arms, and it'll be all bobbly and wobbly with bits of metal blended with bits of demonic flesh. That kind of look. That'd be a really cool terrain set. The red text on this one, the two things that speak against this idea. Would you really be waiting this? Remember, we've seen, I've already kind of mentioned this point, but we've seen the plastic Kazakin, but maybe we saw them really early just because of the leak. Maybe the leak is really far out, who knows? Would you really be waiting this long, sort of April, May, June 2023, for those plastic Kazakin to finally come out? I don't know. If it was a marketing thing that Games Workshop had chosen to put out, I'd say definitely not, but it's one that they kind of put out as their reactive policy to not let Potato Cam steal the hype on something. You know, think about how long we knew that the Horus Heresy box was coming out before we got the Horus Heresy box, but things like that. So maybe the Kazakin will be coming in this set, June 2023. Also, maybe I'm leaning too hard on the Blackstone Fortress thing without any, without much of any anything to back that up. But it's really hard to come up with. Like, it's easy to try and piece together and work out what the 40k usable teams might be. It's really hard to try and work out what the artisanal teams will be, because you literally just, it could be anything, right? So these are my best guesses. I said I had another prediction for you. I do. I've got a bonus prediction. Here it is. Talk a little about 40k. Only because a lot of people, every time I predict things, I get the comments, but why don't you think it's going to be Terminators? And why do you think it's going to be Gene Stealers? And I want to be Terminators and Gene Stealers, and why can't you join the chorus of voices saying, well, obviously we're going to do Terminators and Gene Stealers? I don't think they're going to do a Terminators versus Gene Stealers Classic Space Hall box. I'll tell you why I think that. I expect 40k 10th edition to come out in July 2023. So that's just after GALLOWFALL in June, yeah, and then in July, boom, 40k 10th, right? That's only 2 years, but we know that the current issue of 40k is poorly regarded. Now, I'm going to talk about 40k speculation briefly because it isn't a 40k channel. I think what they do with 40k is they're not going to They're not going to wholesale invalidate all the codexes like a lot of people hope / fear they will. What I think they will do is they will turn around and say some version of our stratagems, they're for narrative play, you know, and the big bonus that a lot of armies get for being a pure army, like the Assault Doctrine, Devastator Doctrine, all that stuff, that's narrative as well. Some version of taking out some of the complexity and just writing a day one FAQ that says, oh, these various bits, they're not in match play anymore, right? And then you almost get that index version of 40k where everything's just a little bit more calm and stripped back, and then they can slowly try and add back in a different way some of the flavour of units that was lost by taking away the stratagems. They can try and add that back into the units as they make the new codexes. That's my prediction for 10th edition. So it'll be coming out hot on the heels of GALLOWFALL. And the rumours for that release from the big 40k rumour reporting people, like Chapter Master Valrak and so forth, is that it's Blood Angels versus Tyranids, featuring the new Primaris Terminators and the new Gene Sealers. So here's your classic Space Hulk matchup, and given that that's supposed to be your 10th edition 40k box, they're not going to shoot their load by giving you that in a Kill Team box the months before. They want you to. They want to sell whatever their Indomitus version 2 is. They want people to buy that. They would like every single Games Workshop customer, please, to buy a 10th edition launch box. So they're not going to risk giving you the Terminators that are going to be the big draw of that box in some other product, right? And then what I think we get is we get Kill Team rules for those two teams, the Terminators and the Gene Stealers, either as a free PDF like they did for Dominion. So they made Warcry rules PDFs for the two factions in the Dominion box when it came out, or more likely that's what gets folded inside the Kill Team Annual for 2023 to give you those two extra teams, the two sweetener teams like the Euclidean Star Striders and the GALLOWFALL Infected this year, right? And that's why people will go and buy the annual, and they'll go and buy, and people that love Kill Team will go and buy a 40k 10th edition starter to get those two Kill Teams, and then, oh look, you've got a 40k rulebook, may as well play some 40k. Like it writes itself. I suppose what I'm basically saying is that the entire year of Kill Team is really just a marketing push for 40k 10th edition, right? To get people to really want to buy that 10th edition and get the rulebook in their hands, because they want the two Kill Teams. And then they're going to start playing 40k. I mean, if that's not what Games Workshop are going to do, it's so good that's what they should do. Just saying. Still got more to come though, right? Because I know there's people who are now watching this video and they're already typing furiously in the comments section, what up, my guys? I really love Plague Marines. So by my count, if you take all my predictions as going to be true, which probably they aren't, probably I'm very wrong, but if you were to take all my predictions as absolutely true, there'd be 4-ish compendium teams that any predicted equivalent. Certainly the Grey Knights, the Custodes and the Death Guards. I've not mentioned them. They don't have any rules beyond the compendium whatsoever, right? You could argue that demons are kind of covered by the GALLOWFALL team, you know. The GALLOWFALL is the demon team in the same way that the Novitiates is the Ecclesiarchy team and the Corsairs are the Eldar team. Like, there's not a rule that says the bespoke team for your faction has to be more than vaguely related to your faction. It doesn't have to be an updated version of the compendium team. It just has to be something related to the compendium team. Yeah, so you could say that the GALLOWFALL are the demon team. You could argue that. You could also say, if you wanted to add an extra team they've got to do, that Deathwatch deserve their own team, even though they're like a Space Marine fire team in the compendium. We've already got 2 Space Marine teams. There's certainly room for a Deathwatch team. Is it as pressing as Grey Knights, Custodes and Plague Marines? Maybe you think it is, because Grey Knights have their own codex. Deathwatch feel like maybe they should have their own codex, even though they're a supplement now. But let's need to get realistic here. This year we've had 4 extra teams in White Dwarf for the first year of Kill Team, right? So Hunter Clade, Wormblade, Void Dance Troop and Warp Coven. For this season of Kill Team, we already have 3 extra teams announced. GALLOWFALL Infected, Euclidean Star Striders and the Space Marine Intercessors we already just have as a free download. So if each season is 4 boxes is 8 teams, and the first season was those 8 teams plus 4 for 12 teams, we're only actually 1 team away from having the same number of teams. Do they want to add more teams this season than they did last season? I actually think the best way to view this is if you regard the annual teams as their own thing that come out between seasons, right? And then you can say, well, we're probably going to get 3 more teams over the course of this year because we've got the Intercessors. They're one of our White Dwarf teams. They probably were going to be in White Dwarf, and then they got bumped out of White Dwarf for page count. That's probably what happened. And then they went, well, we've got these waiting to go into a White Dwarf. They've kind of been bumped out of White Dwarf. The White Dwarf guys are telling the Kill Team guys, we can't get your rules out, lads. So then the Kill Team guys go, okay, well, they go to management and say, look, can we release this for free because the White Dwarf guys can't find space for it, and we think it'll really help sales of the game, pitch, and it appears on the website. So I reckon there are 3 more White Dwarf teams coming, and I think they're most likely to be Plague Marines, Custodes, and Grey Knights, unless Leagues of Votann takes one of those slots, in which case it'll be Leagues, probably Plague Marines and Grey Knights, because I don't know how you make Custodes fit into Kill Team. That's my final thought on the matter. So here's the final thoughts slide, right? So I've set my stall out predictions. I would love your suggestions in the comments. Where am I right and where am I wrong? I'd ask you to remember, though, these are my predictions and not a wish list. Don't take it personally. If I've predicted something and you're like, I'd hate that, believe me, that box I predicted that was Spindle Drones versus Mandrakes, I'd hate that too. I'm not trying to say this is what I want, right? What I would like is like a bespoke ecclesiarchy team led by a priest with Crusaders and Archoflagellants and Death Cult Assassins. That'd be amazing, right? And I want a Necron team that's loads of Necron warriors like Space Skeletons and a leader. But I don't think those things are going to happen. I'm trying to predict the things that I have thought about and I'm predicting. So don't get angry and be like, no, I think it's going to be this. And I'm like, do you think it's going to be that, or do you want it to be that? So just bear that one in mind for me. And do subscribe if you haven't already for future speculation, or just to see me have to make a video or 3 saying, I said it was going to be this, and let's see how I did. Oh, I did really badly. It's this totally different thing, right? But that's half the fun. But maybe I get some of them right, and that'll be interesting as well, wouldn't it? Okay? Alright guys, thanks for watching, listening, whatever it is you're doing. I hope you have an excellent day, whatever it is that you are doing. Cheerio.